You work hard, you save what you can, and you invest, you diversify, you take the advice you're given, and yet you're still not free. That's not a theory, that's your reality. And here's the question that stops most people cold. What if the reason you're not winning is because you're playing someone else's game? Stop and think about that. Let that sit for a moment. Every time that you borrow money from someone else's system, you're helping someone else build wealth. Ridiculously simple. Every time that you invest through someone else's platform, you're trusting a system that was designed for their benefit, not for yours. And every time that you follow the rules, what do you get rewarded with? You get rewarded with uncertainty, with fear, and just that gnawing sense that you're missing something. You're not imagining that. You're remembering the feeling of giving away your power. Now, if this conversation already feels like the one that you've been having silently in your own head for years, click the link in the description, because once you see how to escape this system, you'll start to imagine what owning your own financial future really feels like. And after that, you'll never go back. I want you to imagine for a moment that every dollar that you earn is moving through a system that you own and that you control. You decide when to use it. You decide how to deploy it. You decide who profits from it. And it never gets interrupted, ever, by market crashes, bank denials, or economic panic. Once you realize that this system exists, and it does, and once you step into it, and you will, you stop asking for permission and you start giving yourself options. That puts you in a position of total and absolute control. What I've been talking about, the infinite banking concept, it isn't about life insurance. It's about controlling how you finance the things that you need throughout the course of your lifetime. It's about recapturing the interest that you would otherwise have paid to someone else's bank, someone else's finance company, someone else's system. This is all about being in a position of total and absolute control. It's about ownership. The tool that we use to implement the concept is dividend paying whole life insurance, ideally with a mutual, reputable life insurance company, and ideally a system of policies. Because what you're actually building is a private, liquid, tax advantaged financial system, one that grows every single day, uninterrupted, one that you can access anytime on demand, on your terms, one that continues compounding even while you use the life insurance company's money. And when you borrow against your system of policies, you're not asking, you're not waiting, you're directing, you're in control. And that means every time you interact with money, you're building wealth, not giving it away. That is in stark contrast to what you've been doing financially up to this point in your lifetime. So if you've been waiting for a smarter way, not louder, not riskier, just smarter, click the link in the description. Because after watching what's inside, you'll begin to see opportunities you didn't even know were available. And I promise you, you're going to wonder why no one else showed it to you before. Let me give you another quick example. One of our clients, small business owner, two kids, not not a deca millionaire, started with redirecting what he was putting into a tax qualified plan each year. And it worked out to, it was just under, at that time when he got going, it was just under 28,000 a year. And he used his system to finance new equipment for his business, to pay for private school for his kids, to eliminate high interest debt without asking a bank for a dime. That's it. And his cash value inside of his policies continued rising every single day, uninterrupted. He's insured, his spouse is insured, both of his kids are insured. He now describes it like this. He says, I feel calm. I don't worry anymore. I know exactly where I stand, and I don't need anyone's permission to move forward financially. That's what this concept creates. That's what it created for his family. Not just cash flow, not just liquidity or ready access to capital, but a complete mental shift where your finances finally start working for you. Here's the final truth. You'll never build lasting wealth inside of a system that's designed to make and keep you dependent. That's not a flaw. It's the entire point. And as long as you're stuck there, using their tools, using their money, following their advice, you'll always be behind. But the moment that you implement the infinite banking concept and you become the banker as it relates to your needs, the moment that you make the shift from consumer to controller, everything changes. But it doesn't happen overnight. It happens gradually and incrementally, but it does happen. The second you decide that you're done being a customer. And when you make that decision, you'll realize it's the first real financial decision you've made that wasn't handed to you. This concept, which I've been practicing, which I've been educating Americans and Canadians to implement since 2008, 5,000 clients rising daily across North America. This process transforms lives. It creates a peaceful, stress-free way of life financially. And I'll repeat it again. If you understand the fundamental financial truth that your money must reside somewhere, if you also understand that you finance everything that you buy, you either pay interest to someone else to access their pile of money, or you give up the interest that your cash could have otherwise earned. Why is that? And why are there no exceptions to that truth? Think about it. When you save money on the books of someone else's bank, you're piling up money, an account balance, and you save up $30,000 on the books of someone else's bank, and you need to purchase something for $30,000. And you've been taught, it's been ingrained in your mind, don't ever go into debt, save up and pay cash for things. The moment that you withdraw that $30,000 from that account, the account balance is now zero. So you have been gradually and incrementally saving, and then the account balance is now zero. Did you achieve the objective of purchasing the thing that you needed? Absolutely. But you've permanently given up the opportunity to earn interest on that $30,000 for the rest of your lifetime and for every future generation that comes after you. And where did that $30,000 end up? Right back in the banking system. You don't control it. It flowed right through your hands onto the books, yet again, of someone else's bank. You purchased the item that you needed, but you weren't the banker. You weren't the bank owner. You were just the depositor and the borrower, because even when you pay cash for things, you're still working with borrowed money. There are no exceptions. And what I described to you was lost opportunity cost. And most people give lip service to the words lost opportunity cost, but very few people actually ever reckon with it. Think about the fact that you, regardless of the source of income, where it's coming from, whether it's W-2 or interest income, dividend income, passive income, is it not true that at present, all of that money is flowing onto the books of someone else's bank? I say that again, someone else's bank. You're not making that money, you're just handling it. And then you begin the process of systematically transferring all that money away. With every debit transaction, with every bill that you pay, every loan payment that you make, which is someone else's passive income, you begin to systematically transfer all that money away from you and from every generation that comes after you. The infinite banking concept puts you in a position to put a stop to all of that and to have that money flowing back into your hands. What a peaceful, stress-free way of life it is when you get the banks out of your life. And if you understand that when you purchase a dividend-paying whole life insurance policy, or ideally a system of policies, again, if you've been watching any of my videos, you know that in our family, we have 78 policies, 22 individual lives insured. We pay $1.5 million plus in premium every single year. We have 100,000 plus every single month flowing back into our family banking system. That's money that would have otherwise been permanently transferred away from my family and from every future generation that comes after me. When we buy these dividend-paying whole life insurance contracts, they immediately begin to accumulate cash value, which grows every single day. It cannot go backward. It cannot be repossessed. We now co-own the life insurance company just by virtue of the fact that these policies are participating. That's what that means. Dividends get declared once a year, and when they get declared, they're contractually guaranteed to be paid. They cannot be repossessed. They cannot lose value ever. We have ready access to capital on demand on our terms. I'm referring to me, my family, all of our clients. And when we need access to capital in the form of a policy loan, there's no repayment schedule. The loans are unstructured. The reason there's no repayment schedule is because the insurance company itself is guaranteeing the collateral for the loan, the cash value. And all that the cash value is the net present value of the future payment of a death benefit. You get to borrow against 90% of that ever increasing cash value. And think about it. Let's presume we're going to buy a car. Let me get the car. You are likely going to spend more money financing these things over the course of your lifetime than you'll ever save for retirement. When you request a policy loan, on the other hand, to go buy this car, your total cash value continues rising every single day that you're driving around in this car that is depreciating in value. And when you repay that policy loan on your schedule, not someone else's, you get to reaccess the equivalent of everything that you repaid plus more. That's because your cash value never stopped growing the entire time you were driving the car. Much different than the saver scenario that I shared with you earlier, and all the money got withdrawn from the account. The individual practicing the infinite banking concept is in a much different situation financially when he's ready to go buy his next car. What a peaceful, stress-free way of life it is when you get the banks out of your life. And so ask yourself, if you know that you can build your own warehouse of wealth, you can buy dividend-paying whole life insurance contracts, contribute almost unlimited sums, have ever-increasing cash value that can't go backward, have ready access capital on demand without reducing the asset's value, without triggering a taxable event, being in a position of total and absolute control of financing whatever it is that you need, properties, vehicles, business equipment, weddings, college education, investments, and controlling how you finance all the things that you need throughout your lifetime. And knowing that not if, but when you die, there is a tax-free windfall of money that shows up exactly when it's needed the most, which is my definition of the best investment, one that pays the most when it's needed the most. And all of this happens on a tax-free basis. Ask yourself logically, if you understand that your money must reside somewhere, how much of your money do you not want residing there? The answer is obvious. And so here's a final call to action. Click the link in the description. Not because you have to, but because you already know you're ready. The moment you see what's waiting in that free session, you'll feel it. You'll feel the shift. And once you do, you'll never, ever look at money the same way again. And so this isn't the end of the conversation. It's just the beginning of a different future, one that you control. So let me ask you a simple question. If you could earn 4% while paying 6% interest and somehow come out ahead, would you call that a winning strategy? Because that's the kind of logic that gets thrown around in the world of infinite banking. It sounds impressive, even revolutionary, until you actually slow down and examine what's actually being said.